You know, it's crazy. I spent years trying to be confident around women. I watched every video, I read every book, I even practiced in the mirror. And women could smell the desperation from a mile away. I was doing everything that the experts told me to do. Make eye contact, stand tall, and speak with authority. Just fake it till you make it, bro. But here's what nobody tells you: women can tell when you're faking it. They can feel when you're performing, when you're trying to be something that you're not. And that performance, that's what's killing your success with women. Because confidence isn't what attracts women, security is. And there's this massive difference between the two. Let me just take you back to when I was still stuck in this trap. I'd see a girl that I was attracted to, and immediately, my brain would start running through the checklist, right? Okay, stand up straight, shoulders back, deep voice, make strong eye contact. Don't look nervous, bro. I was so busy trying to appear confident that I wasn't even present in the conversation. Women picked up on it every single time. They could sense that I was performing, that I was trying to convince them and myself that I was confident. The conversations just felt forced, it felt awkward, like I was reading from a script instead of actually connecting, right? And the worst part, the harder that I tried to be confident, the more insecure I actually felt. Because deep down, I knew I was just faking it. I knew I was putting on a show for everyone to see. That's the confidence trap. You think you need to perform confidence to attract women, but performance itself is what pushes them away. Because women, they're not looking for a performance, they're looking for security. And here's what changed everything for me. I was talking to this girl at a coffee shop, and I caught myself mid performance just flexing my arms a little bit, in a certain way, lowering my voice, trying to seem cool, trying to be like that Tomcat. And then I just stopped. I dropped the act. I started talking to her like I talked to an old mate. No performance, not trying to impress, just being present. Something shifted. The conversation flowed naturally. She laughed, not at my rehearsed jokes, but at something genuine that I said. She leaned in. She was actually interested for once. And that's when it clicked. Confidence is performance, security is presence. You see, when you're confident, you're trying to prove something. You're trying to convince the other person and yourself that you're worthy. When you're secure, you already know you're worthy. You're not trying to prove anything. You're just there, present, grounded. And that's what women actually respond to. Not the guy who's trying the hardest. The guy who's most comfortable in his own skin. Think about it. The most attractive men that you know aren't the ones performing. Confidence, they're the ones who seem completely unbothered, unfazed. They're not trying to impress anyone, they're just secure in who they are. And that's magnetic. That's what draws people in. Let me break this down because this is the key difference that, a lot of guys miss. So if we look at confidence, right? Confidence says, I can handle this. I've got the skills, I know what to do. And you've got security that says, whatever happens, I'll be fine. I don't need to work this out to feel good about myself. And then confidence is outcome dependent. So if the interaction goes well, you feel confident. If it doesn't, then you feel like you're a failure. You see, security is outcome independent. Whether she's interested or not doesn't change how you feel about yourself. Confidence needs validation, security doesn't. Confidence performs, security just is. And here's a kicker. When you're secure, confidence becomes natural. Not because you're trying to be confident, but because you genuinely don't have anything to prove anymore. That is the shift. That's what changes everything with women. So how do you actually make the shift? How do you go from performing confidence to embodying security? Well, firstly, step one, Stop trying to control the outcome, right? Now, this is the hardest part because we're taught that we need to make it happen. We're taught that we need to do shit that needs to just flow effortlessly, right? But the moment you're trying to control how someone perceives you, you're just performing. Next time you're talking to a woman that you're attracted to, notice when you start performing, when you start trying to say the right thing or act a certain way. Let go of trying to control what she thinks of you. Focus on being present instead of being impressive. And then you got step 2. Build security outside of women's validation. Now, this one's crucial. If your sense of worth depends on whether women find you attractive, you'll always be performing. Security comes from building a life that you're proud of, from having standards, from knowing your value regardless of external validation. So for me, this meant getting serious about my fitness, my purpose, my friendships, building a foundation that wasn't dependent on female approval. So when you have that foundation, talking to women stops being about proving yourself. It's just talking to another human being. And then step 3, practice being, not doing. Now, most dating advice focuses on what to do, what to say, and how to act. But security isn't about doing more. It's about being comfortable with who you are. Start practicing just being present in conversations. Don't focus on what you're going to say next. Just listen, respond authentically, and just let silence be okay. See, the more comfortable you get with just being yourself, no performance, no script, the more magnetic you become. After I made the shift, everything changed. Not overnight, but gradually. Step by step, I noticed women responding to me differently. Conversations felt easier, more natural. Women would open up more. They'd initiate contact. They'd pursue. Not because I was doing anything special, but because I'd stopped trying to do anything special. I was just me, secure in who I was, not trying to prove anything. And that's what they found attractive. Not the performance, but the presence. Here's what I want you to understand. You don't need to learn more confidence techniques. You don't need to fake it till you make it. You need to build genuine security in who you are as a person. And then you just show up as that person. Right? Stop performing, start being. That's when women start chasing you. So if you've been stuck in this confidence trap, right, trying all these techniques, pick up artistry, the game, all that stuff, and just wondering why nothing is working, I need you to hear this. You're not failing because you're not confident enough. You're struggling because you're performing instead of being present. Women don't want the best performance. They want the real you, secure in who you are. So here's my challenge for you. This week, just have one conversation where you completely drop the act, drop the performance. No trying to impress, no rehearsed lines. Just be there, bro. Just be present, be authentic, be yourself, and see what happens. If you guys found this valuable, drop a comment. Let me know if you're stuck in this trap. I read all the comments. And if you want to go deeper on this, deeper on building real security, not fake confidence, I created the free 7-day reset that walks you through exactly how to shift from performance to presence. Links in the description. But guys, the key thing is stop performing and start being. I'll catch you guys in the next one.